Hello everyone, my name is Zenitsu and I'm back with another Digimon deck profile video. So today I'm going to be taking a look at BT11, and BT11 offers us lots of new and powerful tools to be able to build and iterate on some new and existing decks. And today's deck I'm going to be taking a look at is going to be a brand new iteration on the Justimon deck. So the Justimon deck is a traditional style of deck where the goal is to digivolve from your egg to your level 6 to try to get the most out of your level 6. And our level 6 wants to be playing around with and interacting with a whole slew of tamers, so we want to have a wide field of tamers on our field. So a lot of the cards in our deck are going to help up our tamers, so that way we could try to utilize our Justimon to his utmost capabilities in combination with his form changes as well to be able to have some high damage output. So with all that said and done, let's just dive right into the deck profile. Starting off with the Digitama, I'm only going to be running 4 copies of Hopmon because I want the ability to be able to have my Digimon be as strong as it possibly can be, and Hopmon just helps that, interacting with the fact that we need to have a black tamer on our field for that DP boost, which is something the deck is already trying to do anyway, making him one of the best DP boosters that we have generically as well. Next, on to the level 3s, I'm going to be running 4 copies of ToyAgumon. So ToyAgumon is kind of a flex spot in the deck. It could really be anything you feel like you want it to be, but I do just like that generic inheritable ability of Reboot to be able to have some defensive lines of play and defensive capabilities inside of the deck. Next, I'm going to be running 4 copies of Hagurumon. So this is the EX1 version of Hagurumon, and even though we're not running a dedicated digger, this is going to be the next best thing, adding some extra cycling for utilizing our machines and cyborgs, which is a sub-trait on a lot of the Digimon in the deck, so it's just a good card to want to use to try to help cycle through our cards to find what we need to find. And then the last rookie of the deck is going to be 4 copies of Sunarizamon. So this is the promo version of Sunarizamon, and even though his passive ability granting our Digimon piercing is pretty okay, we have that on one of our new form changes, so the whole goal and intended purpose on how we're going to be utilizing this card is for his inheritable ability to be able to give our Digimon an extra security attack plus for that extra punch factor. Next, on to the level 4s, I'm going to be running 2 copies of Grumblemon. So because the deck does want to play a high amount of tamers, we want to figure out alternative ways to be able to get the most out of our tamers. So there's no better way to do that than with a hybrid. It's also a really good card to use as an alternative win condition for when the opponent has no cards left in their security, and we could just utilize one of our tamers that's sitting on our field to be able to use Grumblemon to be able to attack up for the game with it, trying to sneak in some extra ways to win the game. Next, I'm going to be running 4 copies of Guardromon. Guardromon is just another really good card, not only just as a low-level blocker to be able to stop the opponent's aggression, but it's also a really good card for its inheritable ability to try to help cycle through our cards to be able to try to find the cards that we're looking for and we need to see, similarly to how we're utilizing Hagurumon, just on an inheritable this time. And then the last champion of the deck is going to be 4 copies of Strikedramon. So Strikedramon is going to be the main level 4 we want to use, not only just because he could try to help dig out our black tamers, which is what the deck is trying to play around with, but it also has a nice inheritable ability to help us gain memory when we're attacking, so that way we have some extra memory to be able to play with to make more powerful plays possible. Next, on to the ultimates, I'm going to be running 4 copies of Mamemon. So this is the brand new BT11 version of Mamemon, and this is a really good card for the deck as an alternative way to be able to try to set up our tamers. On top of the fact that if we do play any of our Digimon by card effects as a nice inheritable, then we do have access to blocker for some extra defensive lines of play. And then the last ultimate of the deck is going to be 4 copies of Cyberdramon. So this is going to be the main ultimate we want to go into, just because similarly to Mamemon, he has the ability to try to help us set up our tamers. He's helping us try to set up our Ryo more specifically, and even though Ryo isn't that great of a tamer, just being able to get a tamer out for free is still just a lot of extra value added to the card. Then on top of that, he's going to be a pretty aggressive level 5 Digimon, and that's important because we actually do want to swing with him sometimes. Having a baseline of a 10,000 DP just makes him a pretty strong level 5 Digimon to be playing around with. In combination with Hopmon, that's going to be an extra 1,000 DP, so it's going to be a level 5 swinging for 11,000, which is pretty safe against a lot of various different decks. Then on top of that, his inheritable ability just helps control the opponent's field and put them off of their game plan with some de-digivolve when we attack, if we have enough tamers on our field. And then onto the level 6s, I'm going to be running one copy of Justimon Critical Arm. So Justimon Critical Arm, in my opinion, is the worst of the Justimons, but he's still pretty good because he has that alternative Digivolution condition where we could Digivolve him on top of a Justimon for 1. So when our Justimon is used up, we could use this as a way to extend him, on top of the fact that he has some good removal ability when we Digivolve up into him, especially paired with the Digivolve to try to shrink the opponent's Digimon by returning a Justimon, not Critical Arm, from his inheritable sources to our hand. Then we get to delete one of the opponent's Digimon that has a play cost of 9 or less, which is a lot of level 5 and below Digimon. Then on top of that, he has a really important when attacking ability that's allowing us to form change as long as we have a tamer in play, so that way we could Digivolve him into any other Justimon that's not Critical Arm from our hand, which we just put back into our hand with his when Digivolving ability, and ignore the Digivolution requirements. So we would use this ideally with the base form or Blitz Arm to be able to then utilize Blitz Arm's when Digivolving ability again, and kind of continue the cycle and train going from there. And similarly, I'm also going to be running 3 copies of Justimon Accel Arm because it's just a better version of what Blitz Arm is trying to do. Even though this card's not trying to control the opponent per se, just the fact that Digivolving up into him, alternatively for 1, is still really good, so that way we could use our Justimons on top of our other Justimons. Then on top of that, the reward for Digivolving into this form is returning a Justimon not Accel Arm from our inheritable sources to our hand to be able to give him security attack +1 and piercing. So this just ensures that we're going to be dealing more damage and consistent damage in case the opponent does try to block our attack. And then we could use this in combination with Sunarizamon to be able to have an extra security attack plus, on top of the fact that our Blitz Arm is going to be the core focus of the deck in terms of the utility to be able to multi-attack. So it is just a powerful combination of cards all lining up when we have enough memory that could potentially OTK the opponent. Then he has that same when attacking ability that we just saw with our Critical Arm to be able to essentially form change into the other Justimon. Ideally, we want to use this with Blitz Arm that we just added back up from our inheritables into our hand, so that way we could use Blitz Arm's when Digivolving abilities and when attacking abilities over and over again, creating this little loop. And then, speaking of Blitz Arm, I'm going to be running, as the last Digimon of the deck, 3 copies of Justimon Blitz Arm. So this is the base Justimon we want to use for the deck, because he has some pretty good utility attached to him. So when we Digivolve up into him, we get to activate one of his 3 modular effects, which is either going to help DP boost him, unsuspend him, or delete one of the opponent's Digimon with a low play cost. And then on top of that, he also has a nice when attacking ability that's once per turn, where for each tamer we have in play, we get to activate his when Digivolving ability again. So if we have at least 3 tamers on our field, then we get all 3 abilities, which is just pretty good. But the abilities we care about more often than not is going to be the +2000, just to use in combination with Sunarizamon to put him into that 13k threshold, so that way we could get the ability on Sunarizamon off, and the unsuspend, so that way we could potentially multi-attack with the card. And then, speaking of our tamers, because we are a tamer-based deck, next I'm going to be running 3 copies of Izzy. So this is the BT4 version of Izzy. This is going to be acting as the deck's dedicated memory fixer, and he's a pretty good memory fixer because his upside allows us to try to fix and rig the top of our deck by looking at the top 3 and rearranging them in any order and putting them back on top. And if all the cards were black, then we get to gain 1 memory, essentially making him a memory fixer that costs 3 instead of 4, because everything in the deck is part black. Next, I'm going to be running 3 copies of Ryo. So Ryo is a pretty okay tamer. He's not the greatest black tamer in the world. We're mostly just playing him because Cyberdramon plays him for free, and he has some pretty good added consistency into the deck by searching out our Drawmons and our Justimons, so that way we could try to find the parts and pieces we're actually looking for and be able to use them. Then when our Digimon attacks, he's pretty okay at just allowing us to be able to suspend them to give them a temporary DP boost until the end of the opponent's turn, which is pretty decent, especially if we're aggressing with our Cyberdramon, so that way we could use him in combination with Hopmon to be able to basically give Cyberdramon a plus 2000 DP boost, so that way he's a level 5 swinging at 12k DP, which is just a lot for a level 5, and again, these buffs will work with our Justimons, so that way we could try to make our Justimons as strong as we possibly can DP-wise as well. And then the last tamer for the deck is going to be 3 copies of Kazu. So Kazu's in the deck to try to help us gain some additional memory, so that way we could try to have as much memory as we possibly can going into our power turns, because he's interacting with cyborgs and machines, which Justimon is a cyborg, and we do have some other cyborg and machines in the deck that we're trying to run and support with this card. Then when we're utilizing this card, it's just, again, like Ryo, trying to add some extra consistency in filtering into the deck, where we're going to be pitching one of our cyborgs and our machines from our hand to be able to draw one when our tamer is suspended, and we suspend them when one of our cyborgs or machines becomes suspended, so whether that's us blocking on the opponent's turn or us swinging on our turn. And then lastly, onto the options, I'm going to be running 1 copy of Ultimate Flare. So Ultimate Flare is just acting as that big hard removal card in case we need to try to get rid of a problematic Digimon we might not otherwise be able to deal with. The Digivolve 3 is still pretty powerful, on top of the fact that it's going to delete all of the opponent's Digimon with a play cost of 3 or less, which is essentially going to be their rookies most of the time, which this should Digivolve a Digimon back into a rookie is still just a really efficient card at trying to clean up the field when we're in a pinch. Then on top of that, it has a nice security ability to be able to activate its main, making it a very powerful security threat when the opponent is trying to aggress into us. And then the last option card of the deck is going to be 3 copies of Black Memory Boost. So Black Memory Boost is just adding some extra consistency, allowing us to check the top 4 for any black Digimon and add it into our hand, is just pretty helpful, on top of setting this card into the battle area, so we could use its secondary main ability of Delay to be able to gain 2 memory at a later turn to make more powerful follow-up turns with, especially our big push turn that we want to try to deal as much damage as we possibly can with. This card helps set all of that up quite nicely in the early stages of the game. So as far as the general game plan and gameplay of the deck goes, it is just a combo heavy deck trying to utilize our level 6 to form change and try to deal as much damage as it possibly can while being able to multi-attack. So this is why getting your tamers set up is super important, so that way we could be at the precise memory count that we need to be. So Izzy at the start of our turn will put us at least at 3, then Kazu, utilizing him, hopefully will set us to 4, and if we have more Kazus, that's just even better, so that way we could have a higher memory count to be able to play with when our turn comes around, so that way we could extend our combo play as best as we possibly can, depending on where our hand is and the board state is as well. But as far as the main intended combo line that we're trying to achieve, we're going to hide in raising our Sunarizamon off of our Hopmon, just for that extra security attack plus, then go from Sunarizamon into Strikemon, so that way when we Digivolve into our Strikedramon, we get to gain an additional memory when we attack, as long as we have a tamer set up, which ideally we should. Then, from here, it really doesn't matter if you want to use Mamemon or Cyberdramon. If you're going to hide it in raising, then Cyberdramon is a little bit better, so that way we could try to swing with our Cyberdramon. But if you want to try to play a little bit risky, then we could use Mamemon and move it out as well. But the goal of utilizing our level 5s is just to try to be able to set up our tamers for free to be able to do our combo plays and enable our combo plays anyway. But for the sake of this example, I'm going to go into our Cyberdramon, just because I want to think think about swinging with Cyberdramon to be able to capitalize on the damage potential of the deck. So from here, we're going to move out of Raising. Again, with our Izzy setup and our Kazu setup, we're going to start our turn at 4 memory. If we set up a Ryo, that's just additional benefits, just because it's going to help DP boost our Digimon, making this particular swing a little bit safer. So if we swing with Cyberdramon, that's already one source of damage done onto the opponent, which is a pretty decent, swinging at a level 5 with 12k potentially. And with our Strikedramon, we're going to be gaining another memory. So from here, we're going to Digivolve for 3 into our Blitz arm. So we go down to 2 Blitz arms. So when Digivolving ability, we'll choose to want to unsuspend him. So that way we can make a follow-up attack with. So when we attack with him, that's going to be another damage done onto the opponent. So we were already 2 checks in, but with the when attacking ability and both of our tamers set up, we're going to use the DP option and the unsuspend option. So that way he'll gain the additional security attack off of our Sunarizamon. So we've already done 3 checks total at this point in time. Then from here, we're going to Digivolve into our Accel arm, so that way Accel arm is going to be able to give us even more buffs and benefits with security attack +1 and piercing. We're going to swing with our Accel arm after already returning our Blitz arm into our hand, so that way when we're swinging with our Accel arm, we're going to be able to Digivolve attacking into our Justimon Blitz arm, and then utilize Justimon Blitz arm's ability to be able to unsuspend him again, or increase his DP depending on where you are and what the opponent's security is looking like. But this attack already is going to be 3 additional security checks onto the opponent, which is just a lot of additional security and pressure to have onto the opponent, and from this type of a position, we're choking the opponent at 1 memory, with them having ideally 0 security, our Digimon unsuspended, and us looking like we're in a pretty solid state, which is why if we have any memory boost set up on our field, we could have cracked the memory boost anywhere in this combo to be able to gain some additional memory. So assuming we used the memory boost, we're already at 1 memory again to be able to then figure out a way to get into another another form change, and then continue the loop from here with another swing and another ability to Digivolve into our Justimon. So you can kind of see the whole loop from this point forward. So the more memory that we have to play with, the better and stronger this type of a combo can be at closing out games and OTKing the opponent. Even if we don't necessarily have the extra arm change, that's kind of where Grumblemon comes in to just Digivolve on top of one of our tamers and be able to swing for the game that way. So it's just a nice, really powerful deck that has some pretty decent forms of combo play and damage potential. And then there's still just a whole bunch of other cards that we could think about incorporating into the deck to really customize it and make it your own. So we do have some anti-meta rookies that we could incorporate in the form of Chumon to stop the opponent from being able to gain memory, or we could use Chikurimon to be able to stop them from reducing their play cost if they're utilizing something like a Death-X-Mon or the Digicross mechanic. Then we also do have a security rookie that we could think about running as well inside of the deck to add some more disruption in the form of BT6 Chikurimon with more D-Digivolve action. Then if you wanted to swap out Hagurumon and run something else, then something like Monodramon actually might be pretty good. The only problem is Monodramon is only looking for our tamers versus the generic draw power of what Hagurumon is offering, but you don't have to discard a card utilizing Monodramon, and he still is a Drawmon, so there's pros and cons to using both. Then we do have some other good generic level 4s that we could think about incorporating in the form of Mechanorimon as one of the best low-level blockers in the game. And we even have ways to be able to just try to play Digimon from our security to be able to make our security a little bit more threatening and imposing, while also having good ways to be able to set us up just by having a cheap level 4 in case we don't necessarily see any of our level 3 Digimon with Nanimon. And if you are running Nanimon and you want to try to add even more consistency into the deck, then we have a card like Jerrymon that could take advantage of that, acting very similarly to how we're utilizing Hagurumon in the deck already. And then we do have a card like the promo version of Deltamon to try to take advantage of 2-color synergies with our level 5s, because we do have some pretty powerful level 5 Digimon that we could think about utilizing. So one of the level 5s that we could think about utilizing is Chimeramon, just because Chimeramon can help fix our inheritables by adding one from our trash underneath him, on top of being able to digivolve cheaper off of our Deltamon, and just allowing us to be able to DNA play in case we do have something like Nanimon set up to utilize with our Jerrymons for some cheap level 4s to be able to get out, enabling us to DNA to begin with. Then on top of that, we do have Metal Tyrannomon as another really good card to digivolve cheaper on top of Deltamon, because Deltamon's looking for 2-color cards, on top of having a nice inheritable ability for when our Digimon is attacking into the opponent's Digimon, because we also could have piercing off of our Accel arms when digivolving ability to make something like a Metal Tyrannomon actually pretty good for the deck. Or if you just want to run something generic, then we do have Volcanomon as another really good card to use, not only as just a mid to high level blocker, but also because his inheritable abilities adding Security Attack Plus for even more damage potential and output for the deck. But I would only recommend utilizing these level 5s if you do plan on actually utilizing Deltamon. Then we do have some pretty other good option cards for black to be running. We do have Justice Kick if you're trying to take more of a Mega Zoo style of approach and just hard play your Justimons and then form change off of your Justimons when they're hard played. So this is a good card to take advantage of that. On top of the fact that we do just have some other generic tech and tools for the deck to run, like Iron Fisted Onslaught as another good hard removal card. And then we do have some various other generic black utility cards that we could incorporate, like Final Zubagon Punch, Congo, Breath of the Gods, and the likes. But we also could take a splash of red and to play something like a Delicate Plan to try to make our swings safe, which is what all of those options are trying to do anyway. And to enable our usage of red, we do have Hero to help DP boost our Digimon and act as a good memory fixing tamer. So that's all I really have for this video. As always, feel free to tell me your thoughts down in the comments below, and down in the description below are a couple of different ways you could support me and the channel. So I do have a TCG Player affiliate link, so when you use that link to buy cards off of TCG Player, then some of that money will go to supporting me and the channel. I also do make and sell playmats over on Overcard Gamers on Facebook, so when you buy a playmat with my design, then some of that money will also go to help supporting me and the channel. And on top of all of that, I do have a Twitch account over on twitch.tv/Zenitsu, so giving me a follow and a subscription also helps support me there, and I do play Digimon on top of various other games on that platform as well. So thank you everyone for watching, and as always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content, and I'll see you in the next video.